All right, so the next precept, the traditional presentation by Bodhidharma, is the absolute is subtle and mysterious. In the realm of the pure unconditioned, not feeding delusion or escape is called the precept of not giving or taking drugs. So this is the precept about intentionally deluding one's mind. And as I've reframed it, the absolute is subtle and mysterious in the realm of the pure unconditioned, preserving a wholesome mind. It's called the precept of clarity. So this is coming from the perspective of our mind is clear, our mind is wholesome. So when we're in touch with the more wholesome, the more generative, the more inclusive mind-heart, then we can connect with others better. And also, we're not trying to escape. That's really what the taking drugs, and sometimes it's framed as drugs and alcohol. And the practical application of this too, this is one of the precepts that when teachers get together gets a lot of discussion, because some teachers will consume alcohol, some won't. So there's discussions around that. What does the precept mean? How does it mean in your life? And talking about all that, looking at it. And there's no right or wrong answer. It's really a personal choice in that way. And also the main agreement that the teachers will all have is that consumption shouldn't be to the point when there's unclarity. So it shouldn't be the point that somebody is drunk, intentionally drunk. That's a clear consensus when I've heard this conversation. But for us, it's really about what is a wholesome mind? What pollutes that mind? We can pollute our mind with lots. Of course, we can do it with drugs and alcohol, which is the main focus of this precept, but we can pollute our mind also. We can consume too much information. With our phones and electronic devices, we can be tied into all sorts of activities. You go to any public area now, you go to a restaurant or an airport, and you'll see most of the people on their phones. Even if they're sitting in groups or families, everyone will be having their own experience. So this is a way that we can pollute our minds. We can introduce unwholesomeness by just a deluge of information, by also so much of the material on the internet now is also for and against this and that. A lot of positionality. So finding positionality you agree with, seeing positionality you don't agree with. So this again is a way of dividing, so it's divisive in doing it. So what's a good amount of consumption of these things? It's going to be different for each of us based on who we are, our work, our life, and seeing it. Of course, you've all seen all the references to social media, that the people with the largest social media accounts generally have the highest level of depression. Now, I'm not sure if that's a real accurate correlation, but at least there's been some studies to show that. So that means the more friends you have on Facebook doesn't necessarily make you feel better. You don't feel more connected. You're not in touch with that unified heart. And so this too would be a way we could talk about it as an unwholesome consumption, a turning away from clarity, going to diffuse. And that's really what this precept is about at what point can we maintain clarity and not cloud the mind. So this is pointing to some traditional understandings in Buddhism, non-delusion, understanding, well, what is delusion? Again, we talked about the filters in Thomas's question about the defilements and the hindrances. We're also going to have filters and biases based upon a variety of factors. What age group we're in, where we grew up, gender, all sorts of identity issues. So all of that plays into it. And part of our delusion is thinking that my perspective is the right perspective. And it's just one perspective.